Well, as I said before, I don't know to what extent people have run out of steam by now, but well, actually the last session was quite interesting and brought up our new series of issues. And in a way, I think it would be really interesting if we could all make an effort to try to pull together some points which have emerged from the whole discussion, kind of morning to afternoon, but in terms of kind of commonalities, but also maybe in terms of tensions. And no one would necessarily be the one to kick off this conversation, to be honest. So if anyone's got any idea, in a way, what we can take away from this day and how we can move things forward in our own business field. Okay, I'll start.
Somebody as a discussant, we should give
Yeah, but I mean,
next time.
in a way, we left it as an open slot. I mean, we were keeping it kind of very informal as a natural discussion. So I'm not kind of trying to be the discussant here, but I think we had different approaches to kind of we talked about formal and informal, but we talked about formal and informal in two very different ways, at least two different ways. I was thinking. I mean, on the one hand, we were talking about formal SNA and non-formal SNA, referring to the methods, the way in which we are analyzing the network. So I think many people were referring to formal SNA, where you were actually talking about collecting matrix data and displaying those matrix data into a sociogram. And then maybe some of the other more kind of qual methods were presented as less formal because of being less structured as a method. But then at the same time, we were talking about formal and informal ties and formal and informal connections. And I don't think that, and of course the two things are very different, and I would imagine actually we have examples of a very formal way of visualizing informal networks and the other way around. So I don't know. I don't know whether we've got an issue in terms of language even to begin with, but also whether we've got a broader issue of kind of using different methods, not just for different research fields, but also to answer different research questions. Because I think that's another point. I mean, if we keep sticking to this idea of spammers and screwdrivers and so on, so I think we really love that metaphor. Yes, you use a screwdriver if you've got something you want to screw in, and you use a hammer if you want to hammer something. And maybe this is something that I would have wanted even to hear or maybe to discuss a bit more, because sometimes we're almost kind of giving for granted, yes, this is the method we've used and this is what we found. And what I was trying to come to with my question on policy implication, we don't necessarily want to have policy implication on what we are doing, but maybe in a way, using a different method on the same subject can allow us to answer different types of questions. So in a way, it can be about what we are trying to achieve with our data. If we are trying to achieve anything just beyond knowledge generation per se. So that's my personal comment so far. Anyone want to respond, rebut, or say anything else? Does that make any sense?
Let's say something then. Thank you, Alessio. Many impressions from the day, but the most positive one is that perhaps I expected to see almost exclusively stuff on personal networks or works turning around personal networks, but in fact it seems to me after this day that the scope of application of mixed methods is much wider than that, and that there's perhaps not sufficiently exploited yet, but scope for application to a wider range of network topics. So not just personal networks where this is well established, but a wide variety of topics, which I think is very nice. Something that is kind of a couple of open questions for me at the moment is to what extent are we taking visualizations too seriously, perhaps? That is, a network visualization is not a network, it's just a way of representing it. And sometimes I see it taken a little bit too much as this is the network, and this, of course, then this is constraining, and that this imposes, maybe limits the possibilities of expanding research as we would like, although it can add something in other contexts. So I don't know to what extent this is a problem, something worth discussing, really. And the other point is also, something that I still think that needs work is how to go beyond, most of the mixing is between qualitative methods and descriptive network metrics, formal network metrics, but what about models and more advanced way of reasoning with quantitative network data? So I'm pretty sure that also allows for mixing methods, but I think there's less, my impression at least is that there's probably less research in this area than could be ideally the case. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's an impression. Or should we just
pass it around?
Yeah.
Force people to say things. I also think we tended to have, if we weren't dealing with small data, most of the data sets were relatively contained. And I don't know whether that's because of the nature of the type of social network analysis we were dealing with. We were trying to mix methods, we were trying to do score, and yeah, to respond to Paolo's point, are we kind of saying that mixed methods social network analysis to be done properly requires relatively small data sets, because, well, these days what's increasingly popular, maybe whether it's right or not, is the idea of big data. But also big data has been criticized exactly for that reason. That doesn't allow you to go in depth into the information. So it almost seems to negate the idea of quality of your analysis in terms of qualitative analysis of your data in any way. But I'm not too sure whether that's necessarily the case. And I don't know, maybe Paolo's more familiar with big data than me, or anybody else has got kind of ideas or examples of how you can use mixed methods and qualitative approaches as well into much larger sets of data than what we're seeing today.
What
Yes.
do you have a mix with words in your specialist?
Sorry? Oh yeah, that's something we can talk about. Yeah. Oh yeah, in terms of meeting after this, yeah, we can definitely do that. So yeah, I suppose if we are all kind of craving for coffee after this, we shouldn't try to force too much longer than this discussion. But yeah, definitely, please get in touch if you want to get additional information about what you're going to do. But also, yes, maybe we can send an email special. We will send an email special about the publication we have in mind, and we can decide to either have a discussion via email or maybe call a meeting at one point soon and take it from there. Other than that, I think you finally got your evaluation form, so I would ask you to please fill it in. Yes? Oh,
yeah. I was sorry, I interrupted you halfway through. I was just going to say, as it looks like we're kind of wrapping up. The rest of us ought to thank you because it's been a really sort of productive and positive seminar, and I think we're probably just all just our heads blown at this point. That's why we're not saying much. It's not because it hasn't been productive and stimulating and interesting. So, as you can't call for us to thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Thanks a lot. And yes, and if you've got any other comments, again, positive or very positive, you can put it into the feedback form. And yes, other than that, I think we are wrapping up. So thank you very much and hope to see you very soon. Bye.